As the Lagos State government combats the COVID-19 pandemic, the state's Ministry of Education is also putting in place the right measures across the 6 education districts to ensure the safety of students for the eventual opening of schools, and to also ensure that the structures and facilities do not fall into disrepair before schools reopen. With this, the state government installed wash hand basins. Hand sanitizers have also been provided.
The federal government and state government has issued out guidelines for schools to be able to reopen. These are centered on 3 main categories. One is health and safety, one is blended learning, and then distance learning.
First and foremost, we held virtual training with some of our school leaders talking about scenario planning in COVID and post-COVID. That is to sensitize them that is a new normal and things they are likely to expect.
The protocols are very clear and everybody knows most of those protocols, which include washing your hands, wearing a mask, keeping social distance. These are all things that we too have put into our protocols. In all of our schools, we have actually installed wash hand basins at the entrance so that as they are coming in, they wash their hands. These will provide soap for them to wash their hands every morning and during the course of the day. Those schools without water, we are working on how to supply them with water, and those that have, of course, they use their normal boreholes and all to ensure that there's constant water supply.
The government also embarked on disinfecting school premises and cutting of weeds in school compounds to make them clean and conducive for the teaching and learning process.
I'm happy that the other ministries have been very supportive of us. I will start with environment. Environment fumigated, decontaminated many of our schools, so also local government. The local government has fumigated all our schools. We are now undergoing a process of decontamination, working with them as well. And also working with us throughout has been the Safety Commission, ensuring that we obey these laws. They worked with us in developing the guidelines. We did not work on the guidelines alone. They too had an input into the guidelines. We'd also like to mention SDG. They work with us by looking for potential partners who will support us in ensuring that our schools are able to cope with the social distancing laws. And of course, civic engagement. Civic engagement was involved and are the ones that installed the hand wash centers in our schools.
In line with the COVID-19 physical distancing guidelines, classes have been designed to accommodate just 20 students in compliance to the seating arrangement of 1 meter physical distancing.
Irrespective of the current population per class, you have to spread, and so the principal must get classrooms, and that's why others are not resuming. So definitely we have sufficient classroom to spread the students to all the other SS1, SS2 classes so that they will not be more than 30 in a class. We want to do a kind of staggered resumption, that if class A will resume at 8, for example, class B 8:30, class C 9, for illustration, which means 30 minutes interval for all the protocols to be observed before another set comes in.
To ensure the use of face mask by anyone who enters the school premises, banners on the compulsory use of face mask are positioned strategically at school entrances. When school resumes, the state government will adopt the daily screening for body temperature before entry into the premises for members of staff, students and visitors.
We insist that everybody should wear masks. Nobody is allowed into the school without masks. And we're going to seriously discourage visitors. Don't want people visiting students, teachers or their friends. We told teachers, this is not a time for your friend to come and visit you. This is not a time for your family to come and visit you at work.
The Ministry of Education assures of continuous sensitization of students, teachers, parents and other stakeholders on the need to abide by all laid down safety rules, as well as carrying out inspection tours to both public and private schools to ensure compliance.
The children are not going to stay the usual long hours because you don't want to keep them too long for the school, knowing that using of mask is not that convenient or conducive. In addition to that, you want to avoid contacts with school vendors and so on. So the children will come with their foods from home. No school vendor will be allowed in the school. So all these are still protocols to take off.
As we flag off and see that there is a problem, all of them have the addresses of the nearest hospital. So in fact, Ministry of Health has also been a major supporter because we know where their centers are, and they are willing to work with us to ensure that if any child is sick, the child is taken to them. But even before the child is taken there, every school has been asked to demarcate a room as an isolation room. In that isolation room, we will keep any child who has any ailment or who is suspected of being sick. From there, of course, we'll then contact the nearest hospital whose contacts have been given to all our schools. So we really are working hard, and we are determined that we will minimize the risk to the barest minimum.
The parents too need to educate the children on the protocols so that the child will not be surprised at getting to school and say you cannot enter. You have to take your temperature, you have to wash your hands. The child is already prepared ahead that is going to meet all that.
For primary 6, we have no intention of doing any terminal exams. We will use their CA, that is their continuous assessment scores, to move them to the next level of education, which is GS1. For GSS3, we are still planning, and we will either hold the exams or use CA. We are still watching to see what the best solution would be. But for SS3, which the federal government has announced, we are quite on board. We started work on the necessity of getting schools ready for these students so that they're able to sit for their WAEC exams.
Parents and guardians are therefore assured of their children and ward safety when school resumes.
Parents, be rest assured that our governor, Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is working tirelessly to make sure that our children can finish with flying colors. We cannot do this without your help. We need your support. We need you to continuously encourage your children to practice social distancing, to wear masks, and to wash their hands frequently.